What's going on, everybody? This is Raw Dog Sports. I am Mike. That is Evo, and I apologize. We are a little tardy. I was doing homework, completely lost track of time. This must be some sort of hot tub time machine. But, man, it's I'm glad to be here. Evo, I appreciate you, big dog. Sorry I'm a little late, but we got 13 games to get through today. We have one game to recap, but there's college football on right now. We got conference championships happening as we speak. Texas Tech taking on BYU. Man, a lot of really good, intense football this weekend because playoff implications are high. We got college football with championships going on. Great fucking weekend if you love watching football, man.
Yeah. Obviously, a really big one tonight between number 1 and number 2 in the Big Ten championship. That's one that I plan on trying to get on the TV and watch. That Texas Tech game right now, I'm enjoying. Being able to watch that. Jacob Rodriguez, one of my draft crushes as well. Great mustache, great player. We are leaning a little bit into draft season for some of us because you can't help it. And starting to really look at some of the players that we're getting man crushes on and whatnot. So that's always fun. But yeah, we're starting a little bit late on a Saturday. It's all good. It's the weekend. We do it live. We do it wild. And, sometimes we act a little bit like Tim Waltz. It's okay. Do things a little weird.
Yeah, listen, I am a weird guy. I'm very comfortable with saying it. Like, when I have conversations with people, I can tell that, like, I'm kind of awkward to some people. Like, I kind of get a look like I got a dick growing out of my forehead at times. But you know what? I wouldn't have it any other way. I like thinking different. And honestly, sometimes that leads us down some good holes, especially when it comes to our gambling, man. Like, ooh, not those kind of holes. I saw where your mind went. But like when we go into some rabbit holes, we can find some fun things in terms of some gambling, some nice little, maybe some parlays we could build, some nice little one-offs. Obviously, I used to gamble on the first pitch of Stephen Kwan. I think I'm going to stay away from first pitch bets from now on, though, considering the likelihood that they're fucking rigged.
I mean, your team in specific has some interesting gambling issues going on. That's probably a little bit more of a summer show conversation. I know you've already written some pieces up on the No Sleeves Network about gambling and whatnot in general. Everybody should go check those out. But as of right now, this is a football show. We are in the middle of prime football season. College football is coming to an end, at least the regular season. We are getting into bowl territory, into college football playoffs, which is awesome. It is where you're going to get a chance to, instead of having like a shitload of games every day going on, you're going to have a much smaller amount of games that you, as a fan, if you're not as big of a college football fan like me, you can start to focus on those games a little bit more and start to look ahead towards some of those players that are going to be going into the draft. If you're more of a NFL type person, again, like myself, which is awesome. But also, we are getting down into the nitty gritty of the NFL season. It's week 14. It's kind of sad. Like, it just feels like yesterday that it was week 1 and training camp and stuff like that. We were so positive, looking forward to our teams and the prospects, and boy, how things have changed. It's shaping out to be a very interesting playoff season here for the NFL. Lots of playoff implications are happening this weekend. Teams are about to be kicked out of playoff contention. Some teams are still fighting for, nipping right at those last seeds. A lot of stuff is going to happen. It's going to be fun to get into it today and break down all these games, give our predictions and our thoughts. And like you brought up, Mike, we got a parlay. Blitz got his parlay in for us this week. I even got a side parlay for you if you really want to get crazy, a little four anytime touchdown scorer parlay that could win you some big money if you want. So we'll throw that in here as well.
Hell yeah, I like that, brother. That sounds great. Listen, we got to make sure that we have a little bit of a bounce back. Last week, middling, right? I go 8-8, you go 9-7. This week, I'd like to maybe hit a banger. Obviously, we're always going for that. But I can tell you that with my picks that I made today, there is a little bit more of a conservative approach with today's approach. The money's not going to be as high, but I feel good about being able to piece some of these things together, and I can't wait to see where you're at. But, my man, with that, are we ready to start diving in? We recap Thursday?
Yeah, we got a Thursday game, and we did not start off on the right foot as far as our predictions. You and I both took Dallas plus the points, which was 3 points. And this was a high-scoring affair. You actually had mentioned in the show you were seriously considering taking the over, which I believe was 44.5, and we absolutely exceeded that. The Detroit Lions on their own almost exceeded that. Lions get the win at home, 44-30. A big game from Jahmyr Gibbs. A lot of offense in this game. And despite there being a lot of offense, it still kind of felt like neither of these teams' offenses were operating as good as they could be. But we still saw 74 points put up in this game.
Yeah. At one point, I texted you. I was like, man, I'm glad I didn't take the over because it was sloppy as fuck to start. And turnovers and just a lot of nonsense was happening early in this game. And then you kind of said it in the text, second half, it could break out. These teams could get loose. And that's exactly what happened. Like, there was no fucking defense in the second half. It was fun to watch. Like, it was cool seeing all of the points scored. But, like, if you're coming out of this as a Lions fan, you feel pretty good. Like, we got to win. We're in a better spot. But we gave up a fuckload of points. And then if you're Dallas, you have to be concerned, like, in an absolute must-win game to keep our playoff hopes alive, we get an uninspired George Pickens. That's really tough. And I know the comments and the wars have gone on between him and Richard Sherman, but if you go back and watch, I mean, Sherman's right. Pickens was not interested, it didn't seem like, or was just wildly unprepared at times when balls were coming his way. So, I mean, good game, fun game, but it started ugly, and Dallas is probably not having, I mean, their season's probably over here now.
It dropped them to like a 10% chance of making the playoffs. It's a tough spot. And that's, I mean, it's what happens when you do go into the season with basically no defense and you look that way for a big portion of the time. Obviously we've seen a bit of a turnaround here through the middle of the season, going into the latter part of the season where the defense has gotten better, but obviously they're still a flawed team. This is not a team that people are going to be able to walk over for sure. They are still, a good team at this point. They just have such a hole that they would have had to have dug themselves out of here, that it's going to be very difficult for them to get into the postseason. And yeah, you brought up, we saw some uninspired play from particularly George Pickens. And that's one of the things that we saw a lot more from him when he was with Pittsburgh. And it was, obviously he's got bad quarterback play, more run heavy offense there. And so it's easier for more of those diva players to become a little bit uninspired. That shouldn't be happening here with Dallas. And maybe because the game started off so wonky and bad that he kind of started to check out, and you don't like to see that. That's one of the big issues with him wanting this big contract come this offseason that teams are going to have to give serious consideration to. If we start off a game bad, is he going to check out? If we run more of a run-heavy script in a game, is he going to check out and not be available to us? It's one of the concerns with him. When he is on and playing well, he is one of the better wide receivers in the league, and we've seen that plenty this year. And there was an opportunity, especially in that second half, if he checked back in, for him to be a huge part of this game. You have CeeDee Lamb get 6 catches for 121 yards before going out with a concussion. We'll see how soon he's back. But instead of George Pickens stepping up and being the guy, he just kind of is out there on the field a little bit more lackadaisical. We saw a deep pass towards the end of the game that it looked like he had a chance to adjust and get, because he had the defenders beaten, and he didn't look like he put a whole lot of effort into it. And that probably would have been, 50, 60-yard catch at least.
Right.
Instead, Ryan Flournoy, another name that is kind of like one of those, you have to be a bit of a football junkie to know who that is. He's a second-year player. I'm tracking him being on Dallas, but obviously he's a guy that you're like, oh, this is a fourth, fifth guy in the depth chart, usually not a big, contributor. He goes out and has a really nice game, 9 catches and 115 yards for a touchdown. Really nice game for him, but it shouldn't be that guy picking up the slack. It should be George Pickens saying, okay, we are still within striking range of this Detroit team. I need to step up into this number one wide receiver role, and we just didn't really see that. Big breakout game as well from James Williams.
Evo, just real quick, I think it might be a good thing for Dallas going on in the future that Flournoy showed that he can be the guy to step up, because if that's the effort that you're always going to get from George, like, do you want to re-sign George? Because George is obviously incredibly talented at all points, right? Like, he's a great football player, but if he's not invested, he doesn't play well. So do you want to pay that guy? Flournoy is a guy that maybe shows he's hungry and can go and make those plays when CeeDee Lamb goes out, and you don't have to worry about re-signing a George Pickens this offseason. Sorry.
Yeah, like it is a really tough situation, because I don't think Flournoy does this in most games. He was playing against a bad secondary, a secondary that lost Brian Branch by the end to a torn Achilles. You're talking about a bad defense and a high volume passing attack. Dallas had the number one offense, I believe, at least passing offense in the league. And so it's going to be high volume. You're going to get your opportunities, but you're also going up against a bad secondary. So he was able to show out in that situation, but I don't think you're going to get number 2 style play or even number 1 style play from a Flournoy on a week-to-week basis. Whereas with George Pickens, you should be able to get, number 1B style play week to week. And then if you go out and you pay that guy and he knows, all right, now I don't necessarily have to work to earn this money anymore. And if I do check out, oh, well, like it's a commitment issue there. That's worrisome for sure. But it's not super uncommon when it comes to wide receivers, unfortunately.
Yeah, it is a very common trait. We've talked about deep wide receivers on this show several times, and the history is pretty extensive. But my man, you got anything else on this Cowboys game before we start diving into this week?
No, other than, Jameson Williams, kind of a breakout game for him, 7 catches, 96 yards. I saw a lot of scuttlebutt out there on the socials this week about this was going to be a big Jameson Williams game, and I didn't bite on it because I haven't seen it consistently. Well, he went out and had himself a really good matchup, actually outpaced Amon-Ra St. Brown by a little bit. So a good day from him. And again, Jahmyr Gibbs, 7 catches, 77 yards, and 43 yards on the ground with 3 touchdowns. Another huge day from him. He's obviously pivotal for this Detroit offense.
Yeah. I mean, I was pumped because I have JMO in my on one of my fantasy teams. Been playing in the last couple weeks. It's been fucking great. Even with Amon-Ra coming back, he still had a great game. So JMO is a big time weapon, especially once he gets going. He's just so goddamn electric. But all right, brother, I'm ready whenever you are.
All righty. All right, we will go ahead, jump into week 14, and we're going to start off with a banger. Miami Dolphins going into New York versus the Jets. Dolphins are favored in this game, -3 points, over under of 41.5. Miami Dolphins, I believe, are like 0-8 with Tua at quarterback in games where it's 40 degrees or less. And the New York Jets are 0-7 in like their last 7 games versus the Dolphins. Someone has to break a streak here. Someone has to win this game. And if I have to choose one of those teams personally, it's going to be the Miami Dolphins because they have been playing a better brand of football recently. Obviously, we saw Tyrod Taylor out there at quarterback with the Jets, and it provided them a little bit of a spark last week. One thing that I wish I could bang the gavel for is we know there's going to be at least 1 interception from Tua. He typically has at least 1 interception per game, but he also has at least 1 passing touchdown per game. And we've seen him be able to utilize some of those offensive weapons better. They are in a soft part of their schedule where the team is doing decent compared to how they were at the beginning of the year. I'm not dropping the points here, but I am going to take Miami Dolphins on the money line to win this game just because this is a softer part of their schedule. They seem to be clicking a little bit better. I still don't think they're a good team, but I think that they have the ability to win this game.
All right. So they do have an ability to win this game, but I think that the Jets are starting to kind of catch on a little bit, especially with Tyrod playing quarterback. Like that offense looks way better. The defense can be coached well. I mean, Aaron Glenn's a good coach. We know that. But it took some time to kind of start figuring it out. I wish this was 3.5, but it's not. I still think the Jets can keep this thing close. I'm taking the Jets plus the points here. I think they could win if they get consistent quarterback play from Tyrod again. Just because we have the Dolphins, while they have been good, we've also seen them be absolutely abysmal. This is kind of a toss-up. So I'm going to ride with the Jets in the points.
All righty, sounds good. Next up, Seattle Seahawks going into Atlanta versus the Kirk O'Chains-led Falcons. The Seahawks are road favorites here, minus 6.5 points for minus 115 odds, over under of 44.5. We saw a bit of a muted Seahawks team last week versus my Vikings, but they're going up against a different team this week in the Falcons, and the Falcons are kind of in a weird spot. I know that you have a lot of thoughts on them. We've heard those thoughts last week and the entire season. And I heard some interesting stuff about the team this week. Shout out to the NFL Stock Exchange. Great podcast. Trevor Sikkema. I love the work that they do there with PFF and whatnot. And they actually did a franchise episode for the Atlanta Falcons. And it actually brought forth some stuff that I didn't understand about this team. Now, it matters a little bit less when it comes to Kirk Cousins at quarterback potentially, but apparently they were just extremely predictable on offense. And I think that the biggest problems, last week I said, I don't know, I can't pinpoint what the issue is with this team because they have some talented pieces. Apparently, if they had Penix under center, 80% of the time they're running the ball. If they had him in shotgun, 80% or more, they were passing the ball. So defenses could essentially, with a high rate of prediction, know what they're getting thrown at them. And that's not a good way to run your offense. Also, Penix is one of the best percentage-wise play action quarterbacks. He's really good at throwing on the play action, and they are running it at one of the lowest rates of any team this season. So they're like leaning away from some of the stuff that they do good, and they are, scripting their plays where the defense is able to know what's going on. To me, that's an offensive issue. Zach Robinson's there. Obviously, he comes from the McVay tree. There's big thoughts about what he could do there, but I think that he is probably schematically the problem right now because they do have some talented pieces there. Defensively, we've seen some really good stuff from them this year, but they are running a very young roster on defense. Those guys have to be molded and grow, and you're not going to get good stuff every single week, but they're trending in the right direction. And the biggest problem for me is that front office. Terry Fontenot has to go. Some of the asinine moves that they've made, it's like they go after Deshaun Watson, right? This all springs from Deshaun Watson. They go after him and they don't get him. But they pissed off Matt Ryan. Now, Matt Ryan wasn't great at that time, but he was still a serviceable quarterback. And Matt Ryan's like, I'm not going to play for you anymore. Now they have to trade him away to the Colts. And you're left with nothing. So they scramble and they get themselves a quarterback out of Cincinnati, Desmond Ridder, who isn't very good. And rather than start him more and know what he is, they play Marcus Mariota a majority of the year. And they only play Ridder for the last 4 games. And so now you've left yourself in this spot where it's like, well, we didn't like what we saw from Ridder, but we didn't give him enough runway to know what we truly have. So now you're kind of locked into the next year. We're going to go in with Ridder and give him a full chance. And, oh, well, he turns out bad. So now we go into the draft saying, well, we need a quarterback. We need quarterback bad. They go out in free agency and sign Kirk Cousins to a tremendous contract and draft a quarterback. But the defense was the big problem there for this team. Like they should have gotten a quarterback and then focused on defense. Kirk Cousins could have been okay for them, and obviously they started off last year pretty good with Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
But they didn't have a defense. And so they doubled up on quarterback, didn't do anything for defense. Well, this year they've got 2 quarterbacks and they double up on defense. They're in this weird porpoising thing. It seems like they do not have a good idea of what they should be doing every offseason. They aren't spreading their resources equitably in each offseason. And then they just make these big dramatic moves towards one position or one side of the ball. And that's a Terry Fontenot issue. He's got to go. He has been fucking up this team. Falcons fans out there, I know that you watch because you love to talk shit towards Mike and I. Give us your thoughts. Is it Fontenot? Is it Zach Robinson? Am I in the right spot here as far as the biggest issues on your team? Because I think that's what's really been screwing this Falcons team. We talked a lot about the Falcons this year because of some of our anti-Falcons thoughts and rhetoric. And so that's why I kind of did a little bit more of a deep dive here in this one. But as far as this game versus Seattle, I'm sorry. I don't think you have a chance. I'm not dropping the points here either. I'm taking Seattle on the money line. I like them to win this game. But the reality is I probably would feel good even dropping the points here. I think that Seattle is probably a touchdown better or more, just the way that you guys have been running things. I'm hoping for a big Bijan day, but I'm going Seattle on the money line.
My man, I am following suit, and this is pretty easy. I have kind of lamented this team all year. They are not very good. Now, I had no idea that they were that predictable. But, I mean, if you watch any Falcons game, you know what's coming. I didn't know it was to that goddamn degree, though. That is absurd. 80%? Like, 4 out of 5 times, that's good enough. And, like, 3 out of 4 times. You're talking about a 4-down fucking series. 80% of the time, I know what's coming. All I got to do is win them 3 of those downs. 4th down, you're fucking punting, dog. Like, that is awful. It'll be fun. I don't understand how this team is so bad, but they are. Like, sure, they have talent. That offense should be really good. Triggerman isn't always there. It's just I'm rocking Seahawks money line. I'm doing the same thing. This is a Falcons team that I have talked shit about all year, and I'm not going to change that.
All right, Mike, go ahead and lead us into our next game here. Another interesting divisional matchup.
All right, man. We got the Saints taking on the Buccaneers. Buccaneers are at home favorited. -8.5. Over under 41.5. And this is going to be an interesting matchup. Shuck put up good numbers last week. We've seen Shuck take some steps for sure. But this is a Bucs team that's kind of fighting for their playoff lives. They have got to get a win this week. They have been banged up all year. You got Baker Mayfield taking on Tyler Shuck. Interesting matchup. My man, where are you at in this game? I know how I feel, and I'm still not a Shucker. Where are you going?
Yeah, you said it in our show, our last show, that, you know, while Shuck has made some steps forward, that the difference between him and Rattler isn't that dramatic. In some stances, I would lean plain Rattler over Shuck. But obviously, you need to see what you have in Tyler Shuck so you can go into this offseason and know, do we need to look for a new quarterback or do we have something that we can develop? The rest of this team, though, for the Saints is kind of paltry to me. Alvin Kamara ruled out again. Devin Neal is going to be getting the start there, which I do like Devin Neal, but he definitely is no Kamara. He's not providing you that huge boost on offense. And like you said, Tampa Bay, they are in a mode where they need to win in order to regain what they have kind of lost over the last several weeks as far as playoff standing. Good news out of Tampa Bay. Mike Evans is practicing again. It feels a little early for me for that. You know, I'd be worrisome about starting him and playing him in the regular season. Obviously, your goal is to make it to the postseason, and I would bring Mike back for that to let him get healthy. I mean, he's not a young dude. We don't recover very quick. Shit, I've been dealing with this back issue that has just flared up again, and I can barely fucking walk, and I haven't done anything other than be in bed and put up Christmas lights. And so this is a dude roughly the same age, playing professional football with a broken collarbone, and you're trying to rush him back like 6 weeks after it happened. So that worries me a little bit, but he's not playing in this game. Just opened up the practice window. But you do have Bucky Irving back. He played good last week. You can feel comfortable about those injuries and playing him even more this week. That Bucks team leaning more on Bucky, and that'll start to open up even more in the pass game. I expect a big one from Emeka Egbuka this week. I'm going to be taking the Buccaneers. I'm going to take them on the money line as well. However, the caveat here and the reason why is that this is a divisional matchup. I do think that the Bucks, plain and simple, are an 8.5-point team better at least. But divisional matchups do tend to play a lot closer. Because of that, I'm going to just go ahead and go on the money line with the Buccaneers.
My man, I am following suit. When I saw the line, I was like, 8.5 is too much. Immediately, it's like, okay, that the Bucks team has been up and down because of injuries. Now, obviously, they're getting healthy, and this is the Saints. But you bring up an excellent point with them. This being a divisional matchup, that just always seems to play closer.
It always was the MO in the beginning of the season too. The Bucks were winning these tight contested games, right? And so we could see a little bit more return to that.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Now, the 41.5 is slightly enticing because both of these defenses are not great, right? We've seen Shuck put up some bulk stats so that maybe move the ball a little bit, get some points. So 41.5, I could see, but I'm going the same way, man. I'm going Bucks on the money line. It's where I feel the most confident. I want to, like I said at the beginning of the show, I want to have a better week this week. I want to push towards that, 56, 57%. So I'm going to play conservative here, Bucks money line as well.
All righty. Next up, we have my game, Washington Commanders going into Minnesota versus my Vikings. The line on this game has bounced back and forth quite a bit. It started off with the Commanders being favored. Then it went to the Vikings being favored. And then the most recent announcement that Jaden Daniels is practicing and going to be starting in this game has now moved the Washington Commanders back to the favorites. Road favorites in this one, minus 1.5 at minus 110 odds. Over under of 43.5. JJ McCarthy, also cleared concussion protocol, will be the starter in this game. Does that matter? I'll leave that up to debate. One thing that I do know is that Brian Flores went up against a really good team last week and really did a good job against that Seattle offense. I think that the Washington Commanders offense this year has been kind of mid, and their defense has been really bad. I believe they're actually the 31st ranked defense in the league this year. Bringing Jaden Daniels back in there is a lot more scary than Marcus Mariota. But one thing that we've seen is that while Jaden Daniels does operate good under pressure, under the blitz, he has been known to take a lot of sacks as well. Hence, his elbow getting bent backwards on his non-throwing arm. Yeah. I do think that Brian Flores right now is not just playing for a potential head coach position, but depending on how things shake out this offseason, he could be playing for another defensive coordinator job at a different spot, and he wants to continue to show that he runs a really good system. Obviously, I hope he stays with my Vikings, but I think that he's going to be bringing the heat against this Commanders team this week, and we might see Jaden Daniels get beaten around like a penis pinata at a lesbian party. I'm going to go Vikings plus the points here. I think that we have a chance to win this one. Interesting comments from KOC and JJ McCarthy this week about how they are really, really, really simplifying this offense for him. I wish that this was something that we talked about more earlier in the year. If we were in week 6 of the regular season, JJ McCarthy hadn't gone out from injury, and we're saying, hey, we're going to take a step back, dial the offense back to make it a little bit easier, I'd feel better about it then, because then you can start to build a little bit more as the season goes along. We're at week 14. It's a bummer that we're having to hear this now, but we need to see positive steps from JJ McCarthy going forward into this offseason before the team starts looking at some major changes as far as front office personnel, what the quarterback situation is going to be going into next year, and things along those lines. So I'll take my Vikings plus the points here. I had a serious thought about not taking the Vikings to win a single game for the rest of the season. And that might still be the case here. with the 1.5, but I'll take my Vikings plus the 1.5 because I do think that we are going to cause some serious damage versus this Washington offense.
My man, I'm going the Commanders. I understand that you think that they're going to get after him, and they very well could. I think that the same thing can happen inversely. That defense has not been great for the Commanders, yeah, but JJ hasn't exactly proven a whole lot. He's missing more and more time each week. And until I see some sort of stride, like, I'm having a really hard time being like, yeah, I think he can get it done. I think your team has a shitload of talent, but the quarterback play has really kind of derailed your season. So I'm going to go Commanders on the money line. Jaden Daniels coming back. I understand that the Commanders have not been a great team. Neither of your Vikings this year. This is a kind of a toss-up in my mind, and I'm going to take the guy that I trust more at quarterback than Jaden Daniels.
Absolutely. I fully understand that one. All right. Next up, we have the Indianapolis Colts going into Jacksonville versus the Jaguars. Colts are favored on the road here, minus a 1.5 at minus 112 odds, over under of 46.5. Mike, what are your thoughts on this game? Have the Jaguars shown enough to still possibly keep this one close? Are the Colts on that, unfortunate downturn right now, like we talked about last week with Mac?
Yeah, I kind of think that they are on that unfortunate downturn. Obviously, the broken leg diminished the play of Daniel Jones. That's just fact. And the Jags, for all the things that we don't like about them and times where they just absolutely don't show up, have an excellent record. And at this point, I'm done fighting against it. I'm going to get something out of this fucking Jags team this week. Either they're going to lose and then it's going to improve my draft position, or they're going to hit on this pick. So I'm taking the Jags on the money line. Obviously, the Colts, I think, have a shitload of talent, but injuries are starting to creep up. This is that time of the year where it can completely derail your season. A broken leg to your quarterback and allowing teams to just key on your best fucking player and run blitz constantly is a huge problem. And they don't have a quality backup they could bring in to give Daniel Jones a break. Anthony Richardson is not it. And who was the other guy they brought in?
The rookie from Notre Dame. Can't think of his name, but he's primarily
not Lincoln Riley. What Riley Leonard? That's it.
Yeah.
Is not an NFL quarterback. So they really kind of sabotaged what could have been an amazing season because of one injury to their quarterback. I think that if they had a competent backup, I mean, you bring Jameis Winston in that motherfucker. Colts are still balling.
It'd be a lot of fun. Yeah. Jameis Winston's just fun.
Yeah. So I'm right in the Jags here, but I think the Colts actually are a better team, but injuries fucked them.
Yeah, I think that the injury to Daniel Jones mattered a lot, and it mattered last week, but I don't know if it's going to matter as much this week. I expect them to get back on the train with Jonathan Taylor. Obviously, they've gone up against a couple really good defenses the past couple weeks that have the capability to slow that run game down. I think the Jaguars defense is better than people gave them credit for. I've said this a whole bunch this season, but I still think that they're like a middle of the pack defense. I think that Jonathan Taylor can still get stuff going against this team, and that we'll see a little bit more of the passing game working because of that. Specifically, Tyler Warren this week, I think he could have a big week. The Jaguars defense is, I believe, 31st in the league defending the tight end. They're averaging 69 yards, giggity, to tight ends per game, which is a really solid day for tight ends. But it's not every week that you go up against a Tyler Warren because he is extremely versatile, a really good receiver, good blocker, good runner of the ball, and I expect him to be heavily involved in this game. So I'm going to going Indianapolis on the money line. I do think that this one could be very close. Again, another kind of divisional matchup here. So they tend to be relatively close, but I do like this Colts team. I do like them to still get into the playoffs, but because of that injury, unless we start to see it not really affecting Daniel Jones as much, maybe he's taking a whole bunch of calcium or something like that, trying to heal that bone a little bit better. Obviously, he's got the 3D printed pad from his buddies back in college that he wears on the leg. If we start to see it not affect him nearly as much, then we start to lean a little bit back more into that Colts are a really good team territory, and they could do some stuff. Again, Sauce Gardner is going to be out in this game with a calf injury. That does hurt, but we see inconsistencies from this Jacksonville offense, especially in the pass game. Jacoby Myers, we'll see if he's able to continue the trend of having really good games or not. But I'll take Indianapolis on the money line for this one.
All right, man. I get it. This is a very tight game to call. This is one of the reasons why I just decided to go money line. I think that the Jags, based on the way that things have gone recently, I don't want to say that they've completely changed my mind, but they're, like you said, they are fucking better than we give them credit for. So I'll eat crow on that. I love the fact that I have their pick, but man, I wouldn't mind them taking a loss. I wouldn't mind getting this one wrong. I'd like higher picks, but
we got an AFC North matchup. Why don't you lead us into this one? Because it's two teams that you absolutely love to talk about.
Yeah, I love both of these teams because they suck dick. Steelers heading out to Baltimore, taking on the Ravens, -5.5, over under 43.5. This is the decider in the division, in my opinion. The Ravens have a chance to kind of let the Steelers know that we have been the better team basically all year, and I think they will do that. I do not expect Aaron Rodgers to play well in this game. I think the Ravens have a chance to really come out and show that they are a decent quality team. Now, that's all going to depend on how Lamar plays. Lamar obviously has been banged up all fucking year. But banged up Lamar Jackson has still outplayed healthy Aaron Rodgers at basically every point of the fucking season. Aaron has not been spectacular. He has not been the quarterback that the Steelers need to take them over the top and to actually compete and maybe win a game in the playoffs. That's not who he is. He's not that guy. I got the Ravens in what I think could be more than 5.5, but I'm not doing that. Like I said, playing it conservative. I'm going Ravens money line. Evo, where are you going?
Same thing, man. Baltimore on the money line. The Ravens have been an inconsistent team this year, but I do think that they are still very talented. The defense has obviously stepped up a ton from what they had earlier in the year. And if they start to get anything going on offense, like we've seen in previous seasons, if Lamar starts to look like Lamar from just last year, if Derrick Henry starts to look like Derrick Henry from last year, all of a sudden the Ravens become probably one of the favorites in the playoffs this year because they came into the year as one of the more talented rosters out there. And if things just start to click, that it could be off to the races for them in a very gettable AFC right now, where no team is kind of running away outside of maybe the Patriots with, being called the best team in the AFC. So I'm going Baltimore on the money line here. The Steelers talk. Rodgers, we have all season talked shit about them hiring Rodgers. He is not Aaron Rodgers from the past. He's an old man. He's broken, literally and figuratively, and probably morally. That hand is going to be his excuse as to why things aren't going well. We've seen DK Metcalf be a non-factor for weeks. Obviously, going out there and trading for him, a lot of people were super excited about that. It feels like while he's very talented, the picks that they sent over are probably as wasteful as an Alabama library at this point. He's not doing a whole lot for this team. They're not going to have a good quarterback going forward because I don't expect Aaron Rodgers to be there next year. And even if he is, you're not utilizing DK Metcalf's skill set. I think Will Howard has something to bring to the table, but we're not going to see him while Aaron Rodgers is there because even if Rodgers gets hurt, they're just going to go to Mason Rudolph, apparently. So Baltimore in this one for me on the money line as well.
All right. Makes sense to me, man. You ready to tee us up for the next one?
Yeah, next one. Your game.
Banger.
Tennessee Titans versus Cleveland Browns. Browns are at home and they are favored -3.5 points, over under of 33.5. They're expecting this to be a nice low scoring game. Yeah, they don't see this one getting loose at all. Look, Titans have been real bad this year. Cam Ward has had a real rough season. You don't have much of anything on offense for the Titans. Though, if you're looking to add this into a parlay, Tajay Spears, since he's been back, has gotten at least 20 receiving yards in every game. So that's something that you could throw into a parlay if you want. I don't believe it's part of any of our parlays this week so far. But your Browns going out with Shadur Sanders again, expecting to go up against a middling to bad team, middling to bad defense. I know you got to be thinking that they're going to get the dub here. I'm just wondering how bullish you're going to be, and are you willing to drop the points in this one?
So I'm not going to drop the points, but I do think that we are going to win by at least that many. Cam Ward is about to have a fucking terrible day. Myles Garrett is sitting at 19 sacks right now, 3.5 away. He's going to be a half a sack away at the end of this game. That offensive line ain't great. They have not done a good job of helping Cam Ward at all. Our defense is nasty. I don't expect them to score more than I don't know if they even get into double-digit points. Talking about the Titans offense. I'll go in against our defense. Now, the question is, how many can we score? This is going to be Shadur's best opportunity to really kind of go out there and let it eat. This is a non-talented Titans team. If the game plan is set up at all correctly, Shadur should be able to go out there and kind of show that he has the ability and talent to play in the NFL, because this is a pretty bad Titans team. Like, they are not special anywhere. I think that we could see Judkins in the end zone multiple times. I really see this being like 20-6 as a final score. That's why I said 33.5 is too fucking high. I don't know that we'll score a shitload. Maybe 24, but I do not see the Titans getting over double digits. Like, I'm being very bullish on that fact because our defense has been so goddamn good. I'm going Browns, money line, not dropping the points. Where are you going?
Same thing. Browns on the money line. I do think this Titans team is bad. If you look at their scores this year, you've seen them put up 20 points or more on multiple occasions, but a lot of those, contextually, when you actually look at it, they're garbage time. That you look at where they went against a good Seattle team 2 weeks ago, and they put up a lot of points and actually had a final score that was really close, but it was a lot of garbage time points, and it fucked you on your bet for the week where you had dropped the points for Seattle. Your guys' defense is elite. They're very good, especially that defensive line. You're going to be able to shut down the small things that the Titans do well. Your offense is also lacking. This is one of those games that Shadur could go out there and look really good in, but I still don't see you guys completely like outpacing a team where then the Titans can score some garbage time points. So I do think it'll be lower scoring overall, where that, 33.5 points kind of comes into play. And I don't see your defense taking any reps off, because they still are going to have to, you're going to have a lead, but you're going to have to defend that lead actually. So I'll take Cleveland on the money line in this one as well.
All right, man. I like it. Normally, though, when we agree on each other's teams, bad things happen.
Yeah.
So
we don't play the Titans that often, though.
That's true. That's very, very
it's not every week that the Titans are in town. All right, next up, Cincinnati Bengals at the Buffalo Bills. Bills are favored -5.5 points, over under a 52.5. T. Higgins is back in this game. Clear concussion protocol. You got Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow out there. You have your kind of full complement offense for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah.
Which, you look back at the beginning of the year, and we talked about this Bengals offense still being able to be pretty damn good. Chase Brown is going to be able to feed off of a strong passing game. The O-line is bad, but not the worst that it's been. And it's just a defense that is really atrocious with this Bengals team. So if we look at it in that respect, the Bengals probably could put up a whole lot of points, right? You're going up against a Bills team that has a very bad run defense, and they've been middling on defense overall in general. They looked like they were going to get a boost by getting Darius Slay, who was released this week, but he decided, I think I'd rather contemplate retirement. So they didn't get that boost. And you have the Bills here who are still looking to try to stay within that playoff window, and they have a lot to fight for. The Bengals are not out of the playoffs by any means, but
they're in the AFC North only.
They're correct, but their path to the playoffs is a lot more difficult than the Bills at this point. So, Mike, where are you going at in this game?
So I just went and I made sure I looked it up, and the Bengals defense has allowed 26 or more points in every game this season except for the first game of the year in which they played the Cleveland Browns. That's a really bad fucking defense. So while I understand they have their full complement of offense, that defense is terrible. They give up rushing yards, they give up passing yards, they give it up any way you want it. The Bengals will fucking give it to you. And Josh Allen can do it all. I love the Bills in this game. Now, I think it could be fun because that Bills defense has been susceptible. Tre'Davious White has also been susceptible to some big play give-ups. And that can happen a lot in this game with two really talented wide receivers and Joe Burrow getting on the rock. Like, this could be close, but in the end, if I need a team to make a stop, I will never bet on the Bengals to do that. I will take the Bills to do that every time. So give me the Bills money line.
All right. I thought we were going in the same direction here for a second with all the stats that you were putting out there. I'm taking the over.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
The Bengals are, like you said, allowing 26 something points per game, basically every game. Well, we're talking about an over-under of 52.5. And I think that the Bills can match that. I think that this game could be a, 30-30 type of shootout at the end of the day. So 52.5, two offenses that have the capability of putting up a lot of points. I'll take the over in this one. I'm expecting and hoping to see a fun game out of this, at least from an offensive perspective.
Okay, I like that. I wasn't sure. Listen, a lot of points. I do expect a lot of points, but I played over and unders so many. I hit one under this year. Every time I have played an over, the game has gone under. I have tried to bet on good football. I really hate betting on bad football and betting on unders. God damn it, it has not worked. But right, brother, right here, this feels good, and I like it. I like it for you. 52.5. Got you.
Yeah. All right, next up, Denver Broncos going into Vegas versus the Raiders. Broncos are favored minus 7.5 points, over under a 40.5. And I'm going to keep this one a little bit simple. I don't bet the Broncos to fucking win by a touchdown versus nearly anybody. They can be the better team by a long shot, which they absolutely are versus this Raiders team. But dropping 7.5 points right now for the Broncos scares the shit out of me because that offense, while they can put up a lot of points, they only seem to do it in games that they absolutely have to. And in this one, they shouldn't absolutely have to put up a lot of points. They might play down to their opponent. They might be the worst team with their record right now because if you look at all their wins, they are barely eking out wins, whether it's a good team or a bad team. That being said, the Broncos are the better team here for sure. I'll take the Broncos on the money line.
Yeah, I'm doing the same thing. The Raiders suck. I don't need a lot of analysis here. The Raiders are awful. The Broncos are a good team, even though wildly consistent on offense. Beyond that, I don't need to say much else. Let's move on to the next one where we're talking about a couple of teams that are decent, that have a big tie into playoff implications and reside in your division. We got the Bears on the road up in Lambeau in December. Packers minus 6.5, over under 44.5. Okay, is this Lambeau of old? Is this a new Bears team revitalized with a new coach? There's a lot of history here that says the Packers are going to win this fucking game. But guess what? Aaron Rodgers doesn't play for the Packers anymore. It's Jordan Love. Where are you going in this? Is Jordan Love going to go out there and is he going to own the Bears, or is this a new fucking Bears team led by a damn good head coach reining in a quarterback who sometimes gets a little crazy? Where are you going?
It's Toyotathon, my dude. It's Toyotathon. Jordan Love plays better during Toyotathon. I don't care about Lambeau. Jordan Love plays better during Toyotathon. We've seen Romeo Doubs have good games. We've seen Christian Watson have some good games. I don't like this Green Bay Packers offense. I think that they are subpar. but it is Toyotathon, and that gives me a little bit of worry about that. The Bears, again, credit to them. They're obviously number one in the NFC right now, and that doesn't happen by a fluke. Though I just talked about the Broncos not blowing anybody out really, and it's not been a whole lot of blowouts for the Bears either. I think that the Bears are coming together as a team. I still think that, Caleb Williams, while he's been taking strides and getting better for sure, we aren't seeing him take the same sort of progressive steps that we did with like a Drake May or anything like that. He still has a lot of room to grow. And if Ben Johnson is able to unlock all the potential that he has, then Caleb Williams becomes the scary number one overall pick that we thought that he could be coming out of college. I like the Packers to win this game. I do. I'm going to take the Bears plus the points here, though, because I do not like this Packers team. I don't like their offense. Toyotathon tells me they're going to win, but I don't know that it's going to be a resounding win. And the Bears, with how they have been playing, they might be able to take one here in Lambeau. So if I'm going to get 6.5 points from them, I will go ahead and take it. Chicago plus a 6.5.
All right. So I agree that I think that the Packers could probably win this game, should probably win this game based on all the historicals, right? That's what everything says. The Bears do not play good in Lambeau, especially in December. Jordan Love, Dawg during Toyotathon. I forgot about that little tidbit. But this Bears team is playing much better. I like the way that they've started to kind of rally a little bit. I understand that there are still moments where you have got to tell Caleb to calm the fuck down and rein it in a little bit. But sometimes you need some gunslinger. I'm okay with a little bit of gunslinger in there. But I think the real deciding factor in this thing for me is I don't trust the Packers offense, but that Bears defense has been pretty fucking good. They turn people over. Jordan Love will put the ball in risky situations. So I think the Bears could win this thing even, but I also like 6.5 points. That sounds way better than expecting the Bears to go up to Lambeau in December and win. But I think they can absolutely keep this thing close. And 6.5 is a lot. They got to fucking lose by a touchdown. Shit. I don't know about all that. I don't trust the Packers that much.
Yeah, fair enough. All right. Bears plus 6.5 for both of us in this one. All right. Yeah. Next up, we have the LA Rams going into Arizona versus the Cardinals. Big news out of Cardinals camp. Kyler Murray's heel isn't progressing, so he's going to sit out the rest of the year. And that is probably the best thing that you could hear if you're a Cardinals fan, because that means maybe our offense will still be competent rather than putting out Kyler Murray and hoping that he somehow becomes Kyler Murray from 3 years ago. Jacoby Brissett has thrown for over 250 passing yards in 7 of his last 7 games. So if you want to add that to a parlay, absolutely go for it. And that's the one thing that we know that the Cardinals are going to do is they're going to pass the ball around as much as possible. At least it's going to be high volume. Their success rate on it, I don't know. They're going up against a really good Rams team, a Rams team that kind of got embarrassed last week. And I don't expect them to come out and get embarrassed again. The line here, minus 9.5 points for the Rams as the favorite, minus 110 odds, over under a 47.5. I could see this one going over because Cardinals are going to be throwing the ball around a lot, and I think that they're going to get behind and get behind early because the Rams are going to come out punching. I'm not going to drop the 9.5. I'm going to take the Rams on the money line because it's close to that double digit for me, and I hate double digit spreads. But Rams are a supremely better team here. Drew Petzing needs to go for Arizona. They don't have a run game, despite some good play from Bam Knight. He is not a full-time starting running back, and that's what he's having to do there for the Cardinals. It's going to force him into a pass-heavy game. No Marvin Harrison as well for the Cardinals, so that limits you a little bit on the passing front. So I like the Rams in this one on the money line.
My man, I am following suit. One of the reasons that I don't know that this thing can get away is because this is a divisional opponent. Normally, you don't see blowouts in divisional games. 9.5 is a lot of points. The Rams should win this thing, and they're probably 9.5 points better. But divisional opponents tend to play each other pretty fucking close, unless you're the Falcons and the Panthers. Like, I don't think that the Cardinals have a chance in this game really at all. It would make a lot like minus 500 is not a great bet, people. Minus 500 on the money line is something that you only do if you really need to put together. Like, I have to use 4 teams for a 4-leg parlay, but I don't like any of these other games. Just toss the fucking Rams in there, money line. Just to fill out a parlay. But you're not going to make a ton of money off. I feel like it's the easiest play, the right play. Could be way worse than this, but divisional opponents can't do it.
All righty. Next up, Houston going into Kansas City versus the Chiefs. Chiefs are favored minus 3.5 at Arrowhead. Over under of 41.5. That over under makes a little bit of sense because that Houston defense is fucking outstanding. They're right there with your Browns. They are able to hold some of the best teams down to low scoring games. And we have seen a little bit of a boost offensively there. Even with CJ Stroud coming back, Davis Mills did a great job in his stead, but CJ Stroud's been doing all right as well. And you have the Kansas City Chiefs, who are outside looking in at the playoffs this year. Do you think that they're going to be able to muster up something enough to be able to beat this Texans team, specifically that defense? They're at home.
No, I think they probably lose this fucking game, if I'm being completely honest. I don't think this Chiefs team is ready for the type of defense that they're going to see. Pat Mahomes is, listen, very talented, very special as a player, but has not been the same Pat Mahomes of old. One thing that we kind of got to see is when teams play man and spy him, you can really kind of diminish what he's able to do as long as you have the guys to hold up in the back end. The Texans are fucking incredible on defense, just like the Browns are, like you brought up, man. And the Colts, I'm not Colts, Jesus Christ, the Colts. Nah, the Chiefs perpetually never cover. So even if they do win this thing, 3.5 from the Texans sounds really good. Like, I think the Texans probably win this game. But if you're going to give me the points and the hook, I'm going to take them. So I'm going Texans plus 3.5, man.
All right. A couple weeks ago, said the Chiefs were going to win a game based off of NFL scripting because the NFL doesn't want to have the Chiefs not be in the playoffs. I was wrong. But I'm going to kind of do the same sort of thing this week. I don't know that the Chiefs are going to make the playoffs, but the NFL does like drama, and they like it when Week 18 games matter and things like that. And so they have to have the Chiefs win some games between now and then in order to keep them kind of close within the race. So I'm going to take the Chiefs here to win at home. I do like the 3.5 points for Houston because, like you said, Houston could win this game. That defense could do enough against this Pat Mahomes-led offense to really keep it close. And so giving points to that defensive team makes a lot of sense to me. I'm going to go with Kansas City, though, on the money line because I think that they will end up winning this game at home. It's a very important thing for the NFL to make sure that the Kansas City Chiefs are as relevant as possible. And so maybe we see some plays go their way. We'll see. Kansas City money line for me.
All right, man. Listen, I get it. It is Kansas City, and I love the storyline and the narrative being pushed here because sometimes some calls seem like they go certain ways right when you need them to go certain ways, and it always makes for an exciting Week 18.
Yeah. And look, it's primetime football. It's Sunday night football. All the eyes are going to be on it, and the NFL likes to see the Golden Boy win in primetime. Like it feels like this is a perfect setup for script makers.
Yeah, it does. It does. With that, we'll take it into Monday night. We got the Eagles, road favorites, minus 2.5, taking on the Chargers out in LA, over under of 41.5. Eagles have had an interesting year. We've seen the offense be good. We've seen the offense be bad. We've seen the defense be good. We've seen them be bad. We've seen them spit on people. There's a lot of things that have happened with this Eagles team. There's so many fucking storylines around this Eagles team, and it's hard to keep up. Whereas I feel like the Chargers have been always kind of that quiet team, kind of hiding in the shadows. When they were healthy, they were incredible. We thought this team could be an absolute fucking wagon. Then injuries crept up, hurt their offensive line. Kamani Vidal moves back into a secondary role, but it should still have a part of this game plan. Evo, where do you go in this game? Are the Eagles really the better team? Because that's the way Vegas sees it. -2.5 road favorites. Or is that hangover, worried about injuries and the things that the Chargers maybe can't be? Because they are currently getting healthier everywhere except that offensive line.
Yeah, having Omari Hampton back will help. But the big question mark around this Chargers team, we already know the offensive line is screwed and they're not going to get better before the end of the year. Justin Herbert had surgery on his hand this week. He is still preparing to play Monday night, and it sounds like he probably will be the starter, which is why I think this line is as close as it is, because if Herbert's out and Trey Lance is the starter, despite seeing good things with Trey Lance in the preseason and whatnot, he's not Justin Herbert. He doesn't make you feel as safe, warm, and fuzzy. So that's why it's as close as it is. This Eagles team just is not impressing me anywhere this year. A.J. Brown has all of a sudden become a really good receiving option again, especially in fantasy over the past 3-4 weeks. I think he's like the number one scoring receiver. He's had a couple really good weeks under his belt there, which bodes well for the Philly offense. But the one thing that Philly rode all the way to the playoffs and the Super Bowl last year was Saquon Barkley, and that hasn't really changed. Saquon's a good running back still, but he's not putting up the gaudy numbers. He's not completely carrying this team. I think that these teams are a lot more evenly matched right now because Philly is not going with what their best asset is, and that's the running game. And the Chargers can't be what they want to be, which is a run-heavy team because of that offensive line, and it has caused injuries to their star player, Justin Herbert. I'm going to take the points here because I do think that this one could come down to the end. It could be very close, and I'll take the team that's getting points if I think it's going to be a very close game. So Chargers plus the 2.5 for me.
Okay. I was not expecting that, but I understand it. I'm going Eagles on the money line. Back-to-back losses from the Eagles, right? I don't see them losing 3 straight. Heading into a part of their year where they really need to try to get this offense on the right track before you get into the playoffs. I mean, we're in the last quarter of the season now. Like that, we're there, guys. This season's fucking almost basically over, and that offense has still not been great. They gotta find a way to get a win, to get the offense going, and it's gonna be tough against the Chargers team. But I think that they could probably turn really good defensive plays into some easy offense this week. So I'm going Eagles on the money line.
All right, sounds good. Well, that wraps up our Week 14 slate of games, along with all of our picks. But we do have one more thing to go over. We got a good boy here at Raw Dog Sports, a good boy named Blitz, and he's got a parlay for you guys this week. Blitz's big ass bet, brought to you by Raw Dog Sports and the No Sleeves Network. We got Tyler Warren, 60 or more receiving yards at plus 118 odds. If you remember that stat I gave you earlier, Jaguars defense is giving up 69 yards on average, giggity, to opposing team tight ends. So 60 or more receiving yards from Tyler Warren at plus 118 odds feels pretty good. We got Sam Darnold going out there and kind of having a bounce back game and getting 2 passing touchdowns or more in this at minus 112 odds. And then DeVon Achane has been the one focal point of this Dolphins offense, who has performed really well, both on the ground and through the air. So 125 rushing receiving yards from him for plus 104 odds puts us at plus 741 for Blitz's big bet.
That's a pretty good little parlay there. Plus 118 seems like that's stealing candy from a baby. Plus 60 plus yards for Tyler Warren. And Achane, I mean, if the Dolphins are going to win, he's going to have to be a huge part of that offense. He's had to be basically their entire offense. And you know what, Sam's had a year. I like this. Blitz put together a nice little spot here. And plus 741, that pays a decent little chunk. $10 pays what, 74 in a nickel or in a dime.
Yeah, absolutely. Now look, I did kind of preface this earlier. I said that I had a little side parlay for you. There's no graphic for it. So if you're watching, if you're listening, we really, really appreciate you. Thank you for all the support and everything that you guys do for us. And if you would take your time to like, share, and subscribe, we would really appreciate it. Please get the TikTok going. Please let people know that we keep the raw authenticity here with our takes, the bullshit that we do. I never expected in my life that I would talk about a penis pinata on a show, but I sure as fuck did it today. So that's awesome. But let me pull up here a real quick 4-leg parlay, an anytime touchdown parlay. These anytime touchdowns are typically difficult to predict because anybody can score any day. You're not always going to have a Jonathan Taylor who goes out there and scores 3 touchdowns a game. And he hasn't done that for several weeks now, so you can't fully predict it. But got a nice little parlay here. I feel decent about it. Obviously, some of them aren't as, bang the gavel for as others, but just putting $1 on this will win you over $53 here. So we got Emeka Egbuka anytime touchdown. I think that the running game is going to help the passing game there for the Bucs, and that is going to open things back up for Emeka Egbuka. We've seen a little bit of a drop-off from him, especially since Bucky's not been out there. Now Bucky's back, which means Emeka might be back. Next up, Jordan Addison, an anytime touchdown. Through the preseason and through training camp, Jordan Addison has been J.J. McCarthy's favorite target. J.J. McCarthy's back out there playing again. The passing game hasn't been great, but in press conferences this week, Kevin O'Connell, J.J. McCarthy, and the team have talked about we're going to focus a little bit less on the mechanics, more about making right decisions. Go out there, play loose, just play football, and get back to what you are good at doing. So I think that there's a possibility we might see a little of a boost in the passing game. I mean, I'm praying to God that it happens sooner or later. And since Addison has been one of his favorite targets through earlier in the year, possibly getting a touchdown there. Troy Franklin, anytime touchdown versus the Vegas Raiders. Someone's got to get a touchdown for Bo Nix. Bo Nix likes that Troy Franklin connection, so I expect him to throw one up there. And then a Kyren Williams, anytime touchdown. Kyren Williams, one of the quieter, best backs in the league, always being used down by that goal line. Blake Corum gets a little bit in the middle of the field, but down by the goal line, it's still Kyren Williams in there. Expect them to pound in the rock. So that gives you plus 5,266 odds on that 4-leg parlay. So if you feel like getting a little loose, you can just throw a buck on there like I did. That wins you $53.67. Or you could put like $10 on there and maybe win yourself a nice $5,000. So with that, those are the little parlays that we got for you. And let me pull out here our predictions for the entire week. So that way, if you want, you can follow us, you can fade us, you can see what our records have been so far this year. Not too shabby. Maybe throw a couple of these games in, if you want to do like half of them in a round robin or something like that, try to win yourself a little bit of money.
Absolutely. And my man, 54% is not bad. 59% is banger. Everybody who is tuning in, thank you very much. Like Evo said, if you guys would please like, share, and subscribe. But one thing that I love about the thing, about what we do, like we say some crazy outlandish shit, like penis pinatas. But one thing that I always take pride on the fact is that every week we come here and we put on display all the shit that we got wrong. Now, don't get me wrong. We tout all the shit that we get right. But I love the fact that we're willing to come here and put up things like, hey, man, we missed this. We missed that. And I think it gives us hopefully a little bit more credibility that we're willing to show you the misses as much as we're willing to cheer about our wins. So, my man, I appreciate you. And here's to a banger week, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. We want to finish out the year strong. We both got goals that we're shooting for there as far as our win percentage. This feels like a week where we absolutely went into a direction of let's play it a little bit safe. Yeah. And I'm all for it. We're being forward about that, trying to get ourselves a win, trying to get you guys a win who are watching. So we thank you for all your support. Hopefully you like our picks this week. If you don't like them, please comment. Tell us why we're wrong. Tell us why one of us is fat AJ McCarron. Tell us all the things that we got right or wrong this week. We love to hear back from anyone who watches the show.
Absolutely. And to everybody who did tune in today on the vertical, because normally I set it up where it's horizontal and vertical on YouTube when I originally set it up. I didn't get rid of it today. So on the side, Eva, you can probably see it. There is another little thing. You can't see my face And the only thing I can see from your screen is from like the top of your hat.
A trophy and a dildo.
Yeah, a trophy and a dildo. So at some point, we're going to figure out how to make it to where you guys can see us on vertical as well. So if you did check us out on vertical, appreciate you. Sorry that you just looked at my tits the entire time and a dick above Evo's head. But thank you for tuning in anyways. And with that, guys, time is the most valuable thing that you have. So anytime that you give some of your time to us, we are forever grateful. I'm going to give my man Evo one last word, then we're going to get the fuck out of here until Tuesday when we recap the week that was. Evo, go ahead.
Hey, we try to not keep it super political in this. That's what the talk and the rest of the No Sleeves Network is for, is bullshitting about that. But whatever you do not drive by Tim Walz's house and call him the R word, because it might incite violence. I don't know. That would be a shame. If I lived in Minnesota, I definitely wouldn't do it just for the lulz. So don't do that this week.
Okay. Agreed. Guys, be good to one another. Be good to yourselves. We'll see you on Tuesday. But we're getting the fuck out of here. See ya.